You probably think you're a totally free thinker, right? You know, that your decision to vote is entirely your own? Well, think again. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're breaking down a massive illusion. The illusion that you actually control your vote.
So prepare for a bit of a reality check here. Did you know your behavior is surprisingly easy to manipulate? Literally, all it takes is a headline making you think an election is tied. We're totally slopping down conventional wisdom today. It turns out, just the simple anticipation of a really tight race triggers this massive psychological trap. It gets you off the couch, and it basically forces you to the ballot box.
You see, past observational studies used to claim that close polls don't really matter. Dead wrong. The truth is, close polls absolutely change history. A brilliant new study just uncovered this incredible trove of daily voting data from Switzerland, and honestly, the findings are absolutely mind-blowing.
Section 1. Can a close race drive turnout? The Mythbuster.
Section 2. The Swiss experiment, setting the trap.
Now, you might be wondering, why Switzerland? Well, it features these really high-stakes national votes on major issues. Think taxes, immigration, the whole shebang. But here's the absolute kicker. 90% of ballots in Geneva are cast super easily by mail, day by day. This means citizens are voting continuously, leaving us this perfect daily breadcrumb trail of data. We can track exactly when their behavior changes.
It's incredible. Researchers actually use this daily data, kind of like a time machine. So look at day -5, everything's calm. Then day 0, boom, the national polls drop. And then day +3, voting completely surges. They literally watched human behavior change the very second a tight race was broadcast to the public.
Section 3. The data explosion, the smoking gun.
Okay, let's dive into the actual numbers. Before a poll drops, turnout is, low and normal. But in the exact 3 days after a close poll hits the news, there's this massive 0.4 percentage point spike in turnout. It's immediate. Yet, and this is crucial, when a poll shows a complete blowout, there's absolutely no spike. The tight race is the absolute trigger.
So how did this even work before modern polls? Well, before 1998, Swiss voters basically just had to guess. They look at their neighbors, try to guess if the whole country was tied, based entirely on their own little local bubble. And then they decide whether to vote or just stay home. It was totally flawed, just completely blind guessing.
Before polls existed, unrepresentative towns were just shooting in the dark. Turnout didn't react to the actual national race at all. But man, after national polls were introduced, turnout spiked everywhere. National polls instantly weaponized turnout because, suddenly, everybody knew the score, and they immediately reacted.
Section 4. Media manipulation. The accomplice.
80%. Just let that number sink in for a second. 80% of Swiss voters in this study relied entirely on newspapers for their political marching orders. Basically, whoever controls the newspaper controls the voter.
The newspapers acted as a direct catalyst here. The more aggressively a paper pumped out the results of a close poll, the more they literally drove up voter turnout. It's like a direct manipulation dial that they can just turn up or down.
And honestly, this is the brutal reality of the media machine. Newspapers don't just report the news anymore. They activate voters. Those editorial choices, about which poll to slap on the front page, they directly engineer human behavior.
Section 5. Rewriting history, the alternate universe.
All right, prepare to be shocked. We are talking about massive, completely game-changing national laws here. Things like corporate tax reform and second homes construction. The data shows that if the losing side just thought the race was slightly tighter, they would have surged to the polls. The actual results would be completely reversed. And all of that just by changing the public's perception of the poll.
I actually want to read this devastating conclusion straight from the study itself. Quote, "A more systematic effort by the press would have flipped the results of 5 referenda." End quote. 5 national laws. Completely changed, reversed. Honestly, this just proves exactly how easily the media can essentially play God with elections.
Section 6. The fatal flaw. The plot hole. Now, of course, we've got to look at the flip side. First off, the Swiss vote by mail. It's entirely frictionless. But what about a high-friction election in, say, the US, where you might have to stand in line for 5 hours in the freezing rain? A close poll might not actually push you through that kind of misery. Also, the study assumes this really heavy reliance on local newspapers. And, let's be real, today's media landscape is vastly different than it used to be.
So that leaves us with this final, pretty provocative question.
If the media told you today's election was an exact 50-50 tie, would you rush to the ballot box? Be honest with yourself. Are you just as easily manipulated by the very next close poll you see? Well, thanks for joining me on this explainer. Stay curious, stay sharp, and we'll see you next time.